Welcome, friends. Welcome back to the kitchen. Fall is coming. It's time for pies. One of my favorite pies of all time is pumpkin, but I do like a good sweet potato pie. So this morning, I roasted a couple of sweet potatoes, then I peeled them, I put them in a food processor, and I whizzed them smooth. I've got just over 3 cups from those 2 sweet potatoes. I was looking for about 3 cups, and that's what I've got. And so you can see it's nice and smooth. Now this is pretty much just a dump it all in pie. I've got some melted butter, brown sugar, salt, cinnamon, and nutmeg. Growing up here in Toronto, not a lot of sweet potato pies when I was a child. Mostly pumpkin for this style of pie. Pumpkin, apple, that sort of thing. Sweet potato didn't really make a whole lot of sense to my mother or my grandmother because they didn't grow here. So if it didn't grow here, we really didn't get it that often. But later on, when I started eating and coming across sweet potato pies, I really like them. I think they've got a bit more of an earthy flavor than pumpkin. Same sort of texture, same sort of idea. It's a custard pie. And I would lump this together with pumpkin, carrot pie. If you've ever made a carrot pie, those are really good too. I think there's a recipe somewhere on our channel for carrot pie. They all kind of go together in that custard pie type idea, but they all have slightly different flavors. Although the cinnamon and nutmeg or whatever else you put into your pie as a flavoring can overpower the flavor of the base ingredient. Now I need about a 1/4 cup of heavy cream, whipping cream, 35% cream. Put that in. Now I'm going to use maple syrup as a sweetener in addition to the brown sugar, because maple syrup, it comes out of trees here. I make it in my backyard, although I haven't made it for the last couple of years. We had a pretty bad storm here maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And we lost, oh, it's so good. The dark maple syrup is just so good. We lost a couple of maple trees and the others that we have in our yard were damaged. So I haven't tapped them. I'll probably tap them this coming spring again. They'll have had enough time to sort of, heal themselves. So I'm going to use maple syrup. You could use molasses. You could use corn syrup. If you wanted to use corn syrup, you could just up the amount of brown sugar if that's what you wanted to do. Sorghum molasses in a sweet potato pie is the most amazing thing. I'm not going to use it because I realize that this is even more difficult to get than maple syrup for a lot of people. And it's hard to find a real sorghum syrup that isn't cut with corn syrup. That's really strange. But the earthy flavor of sorghum goes really well with the earthy flavor of the sweet potatoes. A little bit of brown liquid. I'm going to use Acerem. This is Acerem. If you want to know a little bit more about Acerem, there's a video over on the Whiskey Vault with Daniel. I went down to Austin, Texas, brought him a bottle, and we did a tasting. Acerem is Acer, maple, rum, maple rum. Essentially, that's what it is. They make a rum out of tree sap from maple trees. Very late harvest sap. There's a point when, maybe you don't want to know this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. There's a point in the when the sap runs in the spring. At the very beginning, it's super sugary. Towards the end, it's more minerally with less sugar. And then as soon as the buds break on the tree, so the leaves start to come out a little bit, you still get sap running out, but it turns bitter. That's what these guys are using, is that end run of sap before they pull the spiles out of the trees. They still get a lot of liquid. They can't turn it into maple syrup because you couldn't eat it. It's just so bitter. It tastes horrible. But they can turn it into Acerem. Then this is 3 years in a barrel afterwards to give it just an incredible smell. Doesn't taste like maple. Tastes like all kinds of other things, but it does not taste like maple. But it plays really well in baked goods that have maple syrup. I can't believe I spoke that long about Ace Rum. Anyway, so I'm gonna glug in a little bit. There we go. And as always, with everything I do, substitute with what you have. If you have bourbon or whiskey or rum or brandy, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great, especially if you like it already. So here we go. Just mix it. And if you don't want to cook with alcohol, that's fine. I understand a lot of people don't want to or can't. Just leave it out. Don't sort of rack your brain thinking that there's got to be some substitute for it. There isn't. You just leave it out. The flavor will be a little bit different, but it's still going to be an amazing pie. Now, in the freezer, I have pie crust already rolled out. This is an all butter pie dough. The recipe is elsewhere on the channel. Separate video. Yeah, that's great. Separate video for the pie dough because it deserves its own. It deserves its own video. So I just rolled it out earlier, stuck it in the freezer just to keep it cold before I poured this in. The oven is preheated to 475 degrees. This is a 9-inch deep dish pie shell, and I'm going to fill this. I said I had 3.5. I was shooting for 3 cups, and I had a little bit over 3 cups, probably close to 3.5. And so this pie is going to be full. I'm going to stick that on a baking tray, just in case. This is a metal pie tin. I find that I get a much better bottom crust when I use a metal pie tin and put this in an oven with a preheated pizza stone. There we go. Let's let that rip. That's so good. You could just put this in, you could just put this in a casserole dish and cook it like a custard. Forget the pie shell. You don't want to make a pie shell? Don't. Just make this. And when I stopped licking the spoon, I remembered to turn the oven back down to 350 degrees. You want to do that once you put the pie in.
You're studying that pie very closely. Hey, friends.
Well,
hey, Glenn.
I got Julie's on hold with the phone company, so the computer's going to make noises as she talks to the AI. I put the pie in the oven at the high temperature, and then you're supposed to turn it down immediately. And I started licking the spoon, fussing with the camera, got everything cleaned away, walked in the house, and then realized, oh, I didn't turn down the oven, and I had to come back out. So we got a really good browning on the bottom crust. So maybe
that's a good idea.
That's a good thing. Okay.
Okay, so you put this in there. I haven't tried this. I'd like some of that. Okay. I have not tried the Ace Rum yet. I'd love to try some Ace Rum. Doing 10 things at once here, my friends.
I'm going in for the pie. So this afternoon inside the house, I made a pumpkin pie for get together tomorrow.
Yeah, we have a friend down visiting from Yellowknife. Glenn says, have some of this.
I really like that. The crust on the bottom is great. So, pizza stone, 475. Walk around your house for 15 or 20 minutes, forget about it, and then turn it down to 350. I really like that because it's... When I made the pumpkin pie inside today, I used the traditional pumpkin pie spices. So
making a mess.
There's ginger and clove in that one. I didn't put it in this to try to make this distinctly a different pie. You know what I mean? Like I didn't.
So that'll be important though, because as much as it's a lovely pie, if someone digs into that and is expecting something and it's not there, they will be sad. They won't. You know how sometimes you're expecting something and when it's not there, you don't like it. But the reality is, it's just different.
I wanted the earthy taste of the sweet potatoes. So if you need that pumpkin pie spice, use the pumpkin pie spice. Put in the ginger and the clove. Or just use the little can of ginger pie, of pumpkin pie spice and do that. I mean, it's a pie for you. That's really what it comes down to. Is it's a pie for you. Did you try the Ace Room?
I did. I like the Ace Room.
Yeah, this is really nice.
I'm not.
Oh, no, it's deep in the background. It really is deep in the background. There's very little in there. You could bump it up if you wanted to, and if you don't want to cook with alcohol, you just leave it out. You don't.
But,
don't worry about a substitution.
Like everything. If you want to know what to pair with your meal, put it in the meal.
Exactly.
They go together really well.
Exactly. So tell us about your sweet potato family traditions for pie. Was it in your family when you were growing up? No, not in mine either.
No, date custard,
Yeah, and
pumpkin, apple, fruits.
This didn't grow. My grandmother couldn't grow this in the garden. My mother couldn't grow this in the garden here. So it didn't end up as something that we ate. So
There you go.
thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.